Hey, this is Greg from Religion, and you're watching That Metal Interview.
That Metal Interview.
Okay, cool. So, first of all, where are you? What part of the world, planet?
I am in Ottawa, Canada.
Must be cold up there, huh?
It is. It's not too bad today. It's 19. I mean, you walk out my back porch and the snow is over your waist. But
Wow.
it's not that cold today. So
I'm in Texas, and it's about 38 here, and people are freaking out.
that's cold. That's cold for Texas, right?
Yeah, it is for Texas, yeah. And it's going back down. It's going to dip to 20, in the 20s, I guess. So, anyways, so let's start off with the band name. I'm pretty sure it's pronounced Allegiant, right?
Yep, that is correct.
I've heard alligator. I've heard Allagan.
I mean, it's all correct at some point, you know. I like to think about it, it's like the meaning's the same, how you say it. I mean, your guess is as good as mine. We made up a word. Who am I to tell you how it should be said?
Right. So who came up with that title? Word.
We were like when we started, we were Allegiance, and then we got like multiple letters from multiple different allegiances around the world saying, "Hey, you need to change your name or whatever." And so that was fine. I don't think we were that happy with it to begin with. So but we had already had sort of a fan base back home in Fort Collins, Colorado. So we just threw vowels at the word, and here we are.
That's a badass name. I heard somewhere, I saw some interviews where somebody was mispronouncing it. They were saying Allagan and all that. So do you get a lot of that for sure, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. No, it's awesome. I love it. It's just become like a comedic, the constant comedy of being in this band, and no one can spell it either. It's great.
Well, I can, so I guess I'm one of the few. Allagaeon.
Almost.
Almost.
You set yourself up for failure, sir.
That's right.
ALLEGAEON. Yeah.
Okay, so let's go back to your beginnings, Greg. At what age did you pick up a guitar or an instrument, a piano?
I think 13-ish. No. Like 11. I started playing the trombone, and it was all right. I like that you can, do the little slide thing, but I was just not very good. I could not. My brain couldn't process the difference between like harmony and accompaniment. And trombone does a lot of like the underlying harmony stuff and not the melody. So I just had a really hard time kind of processing that. And I just really loved guitar music. So my parents were nice enough to let me switch after a couple of years.
Oh, wow. I was in band too. I played baritone.
Oh, okay.
It's similar on the music. It's similar. Bass clef. Your first position is B flat, F, B flat, I guess. I mean, open, the open, yeah. So it's kind of similar. So anyways, what made you get into metal? What song did you hear were convinced you know what, I'm going to be a metalhead?
Dude, I don't know. Like, I really don't. I think I saw some made-for-TV movie or something when I was a kid, and there was like, I think it was a chick, and she had a giant mohawk, and I just thought that was the coolest fucking thing ever, and so, I don't know. Connect the dots from there, but it was always just like, I just liked the vibe of metal from a very early age. Sorry, that is not a very good answer, but it's an honest one.
No, you're good. You're being honest. And how about music-wise?
Yeah, I mean, it was. So I'm 45. So like when I was like a kid, it was a lot of just like what was on the radio, which was like kind of hair metal. And then, occasionally Metallica would get thrown in, and then it wasn't, I was too young to know, like, to really understand the hair metal versus thrash thing. It was just like all cool, so just like anybody that could play, I was on board with that. And so yeah, did I answer that?
So, very first band, of course, it wasn't Allegiant. Which was the first band here?
Yeah, no, I was in a band called Cerebral Onslaught when I was in junior high with a buddy, and it was this weird Megadeth Slayer hybrid.
Oh wow!
Type of band. Yeah.
Do they still exist or?
No. I kicked and dragged them through many, many years before I was like, I think that this needs to die because I think no one else gives a shit anymore. Everybody had grown up and gone down other things. I'm like, yeah, I got the next album ready, and they're like, yeah, okay, I was like, okay, no one cares. I need to go find something else. So I would say that the next thing that I did do was what would become a Legion. So,
oh wow,
it
cool.
was, yeah. So not a lot of a journey, but an important one anyway.
Did you play the local circuit, the clubs, bars, for a while, or did you get signed right away, or?
No, we hauled for a couple years, playing local clubs and stuff like that. We did, some Battle of the Band stuff through Denver radio. It was like best band in Denver, and which was great. We didn't win by any means. The year we were there, it was actually funny because it was us and Havoc, and then we knew, going in, I was like, man, Havoc's way more radio friendly, so we know we're gonna lose to Havoc. And then there was a band called 2013, and they were actually from Fort Collins, where we were from, and we were friends. So, and it was great, and I loved Havoc, and we were friends with them. So it was cool because it was like we were all in competition with our buddies, really. But it was, for us, it wasn't about winning. For us, it was about being from Fort Collins, which is kind of a small college town, near Wyoming. It was about breaking into the Denver scene because it was just a bigger scene. And so, we were just lucky enough to get far enough in that competition to really break us into Denver. So it was super important, and that was actually such a great experience.
So that
losing
was
to Havoc.
Yeah, losing to Havoc. Yeah, the same Havoc that we hear about, right? Havoc.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're out there too. Yeah. So along the way, did you guys open up for bigger names along the way, or are these just local by yourselves at bars and stuff?
Yeah, every once in a while we get thrown. I think we opened up for All That Remains. I know we opened up for Fear Factory, and I remember, God, that show was where I was in the hospital all day for severe dehydration, and then I went and played that show that night, and then I left, and the next thing I know, Dino had a problem with someone in our band, and we got a really angry phone call from Metal Blade.
Really?
and I was like, I don't know what happened, because I had left, but funny looking back. It wasn't funny at the time, but it's really funny looking back at now. And yeah, and that was it was cool. I think we opened for Devil Driver too.
Nice.
Roll Reversal though, they were super sick that show. That's what I remember about that.
Oh wow, cool names. So somebody pissed off Dino, huh?
Yeah. I don't recall. I think someone used the bathroom when he was about to go on stage and he wanted to piss real quick. And yeah. So I think that's what it was. I don't know, but it was so long ago. But yeah, I think Gene Hoglan was in Fear Factory at the time, and I think both Gene and Dino had to wait for someone in Allegiant that is no longer in the band, and I don't. Yeah, the story has like dwindled with the years, but yeah, I know someone in our band pissed off Dino, and we heard about it the next day.
Someone in your band made a couple of metal icons wait outside the restroom.
Yeah. Yep.
Basically. So let's speak of the Ossuary Lens. This drops April 4th, right? Are you excited for this?
Yeah, man. It's great. I mean, our 7th album. Album drops is always kind of exciting. You know, you've been working on, you know, group songs for a couple years. You know, it's good to get them out to people.
Yeah, how was the reception?
Hopefully they like them. I don't know.
Yeah. How was the reception so far with the video?
Oh, just with the one song, it's been great. Shocking. I think a lot of people were like surprised because we did, you know, we did a little EP that we separated for singles before when we announced our old singer coming back, and that was done like, you know, he wasn't singing on those; he was just screaming. And so when, you know, he's singing on this, I think it took a few people by surprise. But yeah, I mean, overall, it's been great. You know, apart from the people that hate clean vocals in metal, you know, there's no way to win them over. But
yeah, you can't beat them. I mean, you do clean vocals, and people want death growls.
Yeah,
yeah, you just can't please everybody. But it sounds badass, though. It sounds cool.
And then if we didn't do them, the people that like the clean vocals, they'd be upset. So you just have to do both. You have to do songs with no clean vocals, and then you're still gonna piss someone off. So.
How did you decide that in the studio, or when arranging this new album record? Did you guys say, okay, let's do half and half, clean vocals?
Half and half.
No, it's just whatever song. I mean, there's only a couple songs on the album with clean vocals. It was just whatever songs felt good with them on them. You know, if the song really lent itself to those things, then we put them on. If it didn't, then we didn't put them on. So. It was all for what was best for the song at the end of the day.
Yeah, it sounds badass. As far as your guitar, Greg, did you spend a lot of time toning in for a certain guitar tone for the record, or was it? Do you use your live setup, or is it already set, or what?
No, I'm my background being a classical guitar player. I did classical for many years. That was like what I was gonna do for my profession before the band. So like my knowledge of like gear and stuff like that, I'm like a tone idiot. You know, I know if I hate something, but like my liking something is on a, you know, I'm just like, if Michael is happy, then I'm happy, right? Like I trust his ears, I trust him with that. So I think they tone chased with Dave Otero for a bit. We ended up using a driftwood Purple Nightmare, and we actually used a real amp for the album, which we hadn't done in a while. We were usually just using DI, and then we used a plugin or a Kemper or a Quad Cortex. And for many years, that's what we did. But we actually went back and used an amp this time to try to like get more of a, you know, a different feel in the studio, like with the air and stuff. I can't tell the difference, but I know a few people can, and hopefully they, you know, real amp people will be happy.
Right. That's a big subject nowadays. I've talked to different guitar players as yourself, and some use amps live, some don't. Quad Cortex and all that, or the studio, same story. So I guess it all boils down to the person, huh? The player.
Yeah, I mean, I think it does, but I also kind of think like people have, you know, some people have really good ears for that stuff. That's just never been kind of in my wheelhouse, and I wish it was. I wish I like could really know about that stuff all the time. I'm looking at my recording setup, my DAW, and going, I don't know what all these buttons do. I know I can record it, but I can't make it sound good. But I don't need to. That's why we have Dave Otero, you know?
Yeah, well, it sounds great. What I've heard so far, it sounds badass. Do you think this is a continuation of your last album, or do you think this is a different direction?
Uh, I mean, in a way, it's a continuation. I mean, like that last album we had, you know, there was a lot of suicide. We were surrounded by a lot of death. So the last album was very much like a Legion in mourning, you know, and that how that impacted the album and the writing and stuff like that. And this album's kind of just like, you know, we've kind of come out of that. And so there's some stuff that kind of sounds like it would kind of fit with that, but then there's a lot of stuff that sounds like the stuff that, you know, kind of that we did from all the way back in Form Shifter to Proponent for Sentience, like in the middle of our career. So it's a good album that spans the whole career.
The whole catalog, yeah, a little bit of everything. So, who starts off the writing process, Greg? Who's the first one that throws in the hat? You know what? Here's a couple of riffs. Here's a song.
It's all done individually until further along in the process. So, you know, I'll write a whole chunk of songs. Michael will write a whole chunk of songs, and then Boo Boo will usually throw a song in, or two. And this time, he just had a kid. He had a little daughter, so he didn't really have a contribution ready to go for this album. But he actually wrote a song for 2 albums ago for Apoptosis that I remembered being really cool. So I asked him if he still had that around, and it turned out to be Driftwood, the song that we have released.
Okay.
So it was just, it needed the right time for us to really fully embrace it, and now's that time. So yeah,
okay.
It's just, it's one of those things where it's like everybody has their ideas. We get together like closer to recording date, and we all go through all the songs together and kind of like do some arranging. We, you know, change some starts. We start having like discussions about vocal patterns or vocal melodies with Ezra and Michael, and then we just kind of start building the final product from there. And we actually did something different this time around, where we met Dave before we even started tracking drums. We went through all the songs with Dave, and we did production stuff prior to even from the pre-pro demos. And then if he had different ideas, we would do additional pre-pro before we started tracking. So
Interesting. Wow.
Yeah, that was a new step that we did on this album.
So basically, Driftwood, the single was floating around for a while, basically.
Yeah, since like 2018. Yeah.
Oh,
So how about now, Greg? Is there any songs that did make the record and they're floating around?
Yeah, we have one song that we recorded that we were just like, it was just a really, really long song, and we wanted to keep the record short. Well, shorter. We have a habit of having our records be over an hour. We didn't want to do that again. So we kept the song. We have this long epic song that was like, we were thinking about closing the album with, but we decided to kind of hold on to it, and we'll just release, you know, between albums we'll release it just to give people something new to listen to. But yeah, I mean, we're always constantly writing, so there's already a whole bunch of songs written for album number 8.
So does the record label have a say so on the length of a song, or do you guys just basically do what you think is right?
Not really. Metal Blade's really awesome in that they don't really, you know, if they really like something, they'll make a suggestion, but they never really like interfere in the creative process. They're very trusting that way, which is so nice. You know, they trust us at this point.
have you heard
After almost 20 years.
right?
Only 20 years. I heard the new Dream Theater, and man, these guys write long songs, right? So that's why I'm asking. I'm not sure how the record label comes into play here with you guys. You know.
Yeah, they don't really say much. Like when we turn in the album, they'll go, dude, this song, they're really drawn to certain songs, and they'll go, hey, I think that we think this should be a single. Or, there was a time where they're like, we had some luck with like prog rock covers, and they were like, oh, you should do Genesis or something, but we didn't. We kind of got a little burnt out on doing covers there for a while, so we kind of haven't revisited that topic. But
so when you say a certain member brings a song to the table, does that mean the lyrics are included, or is it just the song with no lyrics?
I mean, it can include lyrics. We try to. It's weird, I kind of firmly believe that like we let people stay kind of in their lane. Every once in a while we'll venture into someone else's lane, but when Ezra was in the band originally, we did write a good chunk of lyrics in conjunction with Ezra, and then we would even write together. And then coming back, he brought up, he's like, hey, do you want to write the song together? But for most of the time, we just let Ezra run. He knows what he's doing, we like trust him completely, and just believe in what he wants to do and what he wants to write about. So.
Yeah.
Well, you guys are doing something right. I mean, everything I hear from you guys just kicks ass. It's just awesome metal. So whatever you're doing, keep that formula. It's badass. So the title, Greg, the ossuary lens, where's that come from? Is that a song on the album, or is it just a random title?
No, it's just like we're trying to come up with like a thematic kind of tie for all the things, because it wasn't a concept album by any means. But so we were like, so what kind of, when you're trying to come up with a title, you can name it the album after one of the songs, but we always kind of not really. We've done that once. We did it with Apoptosis, and I guess Proponent for Sentience, but that was a concept album. But we haven't really done that a lot. Well, now that I'm thinking, we did it on Form Shifter too. So we're about half and half here, where we'll either like name the album something completely different than a song, or we'll have like a title track. I prefer not having title tracks. Yeah. I prefer having an independent title that tries to encapsulate everything. And this time we were just going through everything, and Ezra just said, well, everything, kind of deals with or has a relation to death in some way. So then, we just had done Damnum, which, that whole album was dealing with loss, right? That Damnum was Latin for loss. So we that's the emotional state we were in, dealing with that. And so that album was kind of about death in a way, and how we were dealing with that. And this is very much, it's like, oh, death again. But this is from an outside point of view. It's not so much us going through it. It's more of us like, there's stories in here that it just, it's just a character within, in some of the stories, unfortunately. So ossuaries, I don't know if you're familiar with that, but like they have them in Europe a lot of times, just like walls of skulls and bones and stuff like that. So just like looking at that, it's a way to kind of like tie everything together.
Okay, I wasn't aware of that. Wow, I learned something. Very cool. So the typical question, Greg, the weird question: what's your favorite track? Which is your favorite track?
Oh man,
on this album.
Yeah, I'm really partial to Dark Matter Dynamics. It just had it has science relation, and I really love science. We've kind of been known as a science band, so having a song written about dark matter is pretty cool. It's also kind of like a throwback to gray matter mechanics. It has, it's also like a duet working with acoustic virtuoso Adrian Bellew, this Candy Rat acoustic guy, and being in classical fingerstyle background, having the chance to work with a guy like that is something that I have always wanted to do. So doing a steel string duet I usually have a classical solo or a classical duet on every album, and then this song was supposed to be that, and then as they just get further and further into the writing process, it became a full band song. So there's actually not a classical like solo really on this album for the first time in our history, but this was supposed to be that, but in a way that like all of the instruments are kind of going pretty crazy. And I just like, it was like there's micro little solos all over the place, and you know,
Wow.
there's a beautiful section, you know, that it gets made fun of a little bit now because of just how awesome it is. Like, I guess everybody's, you know, has those things, but when a lot of these acoustic guitar players can do that percussion while they play, and so we have that section. Adrian, like, that's kind of his thing, and you know, to couple that whole thing where he's playing and then have a bass solo with it, and then, you know,
Nice.
I'm just really proud of that song, and I love the subject matter, and I think it's catchy, and musically I'm super happy with it.
Fans will love that. Wow. So I just spoke to Brian from Nile, Brian Kingsland.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he has a new record out. It's a classical guitar, nylon guitar record, so no metal at all.
Wow.
Yeah, so you mentioned classical music. So have you ever thought of maybe a solo record, a Greg classical guitar thing?
Yeah, it just, I mean, it's always come down. I mean, I've been asked many times over the years, and it's just, I mean, time management, you know, it's just, there's only so many hours in the day, and I have started on it, but it's been years since I've been picking away at it. It's just kind of like the band thing is always kind of taking priority, and I mean, it'll happen.
Yep.
It'll happen at some point. It's just going to be a very slow process.
So I wanted to touch base on Nuclear Power Trio. You're a part of that, right?
I help out.
You help out, okay. So you're Donald Trump?
I help Donnie out.
Yeah, I read about it. I didn't know it was you. I had no idea that was you. Well, on some of the stuff, right? Who runs that? Who's the guy running that show?
I mean,
Is it a secret or?
yeah, I mean, it's those three guys, you know. I mean, I change strings and fetch, you know, whoppers when it's needed. You know, it's that is like a project that is very dear to me, musically, and it's there.
It's awesome. It's very interesting. It's so awesome. So the tour kicks off March 18th, right? San Diego, with Warbringer, Skeletal Remains, and Summoning the Lich. You guys start rehearsals sometime soon?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's kind of weird. We just like we're not really a band that rehearses that much. I mean, we'll meet up, but it's, you know, maybe like a day or so before, and just, but everybody, it's kind of, we pick the set list, and then we just program out the set to a click, send the click to everybody with a guide track, and every practices to that. So it's when we get in a room together, it's more like, oh, can you turn my click up? That's really what it is. I mean, so rehearsal is very loose terms, right? It's when we say rehearsal, we don't really rehearse. It's more like, oh, can we like make that gap a little longer so I can tune? That's really what that meetup is.
Okay.
But yeah.
Change guitars and things like that. Yeah.
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 So how many? I got a couple more questions. I know you got other things to do. How many new songs, new tracks from the Ossuary Lens are you guys doing on this next run tour?
We can't do that many just because, you know, the album won't be out until the very end of the tour. So like by the time the tour happens, we'll have 2 singles out. So we'll play those 2. and then we're gonna open the show with a little like snippet of how the album opens, but it's mostly transitional material to get to where songs that people know, right? Yeah, I would hate to go out and do a tour and play songs that no one's heard before, because then it's less interactive. Do you know what I mean? They're super engaged and just like paying attention instead of enjoying themselves, and that that's always a kind of a weird dynamic, because you don't know how, like, are they enjoying themselves? You can't tell, and then it's just this kind of weird vibe until things go. So I think we're only going to really play 2 and like a little bit.
Before we let you go, would you like to send a message to your fans or friends listening to this?
Just thank you. The sport's very much appreciated, and it's a hard life. You make it easier. Thank you.
Awesome. So thank you, Greg. Thank you for your time, and we'll let you go. I know you're a busy guy, and we'll see you in Texas sometime soon.
Sounds great, man. Thank you.
And we truly appreciate Greg for making time. Thank you, Greg, for spending time with your fans and chatting about the ins and outs of the life of a musician as yourself in Allegion, and the quick story you revealed and gave us of Nuclear Power Trio as Donald Trump. Anyway, so as far as the fans, don't forget to catch Allegion on tour, the Vortex of Violence Tour 2025, North American tour, that is, from March 18th through April 12th. It runs, including Warbringer, Skeletal Remains, and Summoning the Lich, of course, Allegion. And it'll all kick off in San Diego, California at Brick by Brick on March 18th. And it runs through the US, and it ends on April 12th in Los Angeles, California at Telegram Ballroom. So look them up on socials, look for your tickets, go out and support the guys, purchase merchandise, of course, to support all these bands. On behalf of your friend James from the state of Texas, the US of A, floating around the sun, we appreciate your presence and your support. Thank you for downloading, streaming, blah blah blah. Be in tune, ring the bell, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on social media, like, and the whole 9 yards. Just don't forget to keep it metal.
That metal interview.